we are going to play with this line between the mind and body as far as we're thinking about things. We're maybe taking in new ideas, but we're allowing them to go into the body and starting to use that real-time body cognition. What I believe a very essential piece of self-trust is that we are learning to orient to our body for information on a very regular basis. And what that means is that when we are doing life, when we are seated at our computer, let's say, because here we are seated at our computer in some fashion, are we all oriented out? Are we oriented on the person speaking, or are we oriented on our what happens next, or are we oriented to, generally speaking, the expert, the family, the friend, the opinion, the external information? And not to say that that is not useful information, because it is, but culturally we have been taught to orient to it primarily, and that our body signals are unimportant, and that subtlety is a waste of time. We want whiz bang pop. We want, something that really punches you in the face if it's going to do any good. And also we were sort of taught, like, your head hurts, take an Advil, go to school. It's more important that you go to school than it is that your head hurts. And that's just like a little tiny thing that most of us have experienced, right? At some point in life, like, you get championed for going to work feeling like poop because you're such a hard worker. Over time, culturally, we've just been taught to divest and therefore eventually just not notice what's happening in here. And so now there's a revolution. We are understanding that what's happening in here is telling us a lot of important information. And so now what to do with that information. So step one is, are we orienting to ourselves? Are we noticing how we're sitting, standing, breathing? Are we noticing when we are talking about something, or in some kind of charged situation where you might be just talking about something that activates you, like what happens in your body? I had a friend recently tell me that she's trying to be flexible, and she said it like this. I was like, boop, like she just did not even know that was happening. And it was like her body was like, this is really hard for me. I am not feeling flexible. I'm feeling rigid. But her mind was saying, I'm trying to be flexible, right? And so there's so much information right here, right? And she wasn't aware of it. And I couldn't help myself. I just put my hand on her shoulders just to be like, okay, so your body's saying something different. And that is information that we want to dig into. Number one. Number two, okay, well, sometimes we don't know what to do with that information. Most of us know when the shoulders go up that there's some kind of guarding or stress happening. But also where there's just a lot of information that we get about, the posture people and the fitness people and how you're supposed to stand and how you're supposed to move and all of these things. And it's a lot. And so what I would like to do is boil it down to some basic things that I believe are giving our body intrinsic support. So the first thing is our bones. Our bones are our scaffolding. They are designed to hold us up in a near effortless fashion. And they also have this very mythic quality to them. So the bones are our immortal pieces. They carry the mythology of us. And so when we orient to them, we can have a very grounded, earthy, kind of motherly feeling when we feel our skeleton. And that is because physically it is giving us our integrity, our shape. And if we are organized well, there's a lot of effortlessness in just being in our body. But as soon as we start to disorganize our body, so if we sit on our sits bones, this is pretty effortless, right? We're designed to sit over our sits bones, those protrusions in the bottom of your butt, your ischium. So, but a lot of us sit like this, as an example. And this is now the bones not organizing well to support and the tissue having to do a lot more. This is front chain dominance. This is collapse. This is causing our breath to change. It's causing our tissue to do more than necessary. It's starting to communicate to the body that there is some kind of threat or lack of intrinsic support. But maybe we don't notice that we're sitting like this a lot. Or maybe we're on the opposite end and we're kind of more in performance mode and we think we need to be like the perfect student, and we go in the opposite direction. We're tipping the pelvis too far forward. And these are just examples of how we are not necessarily conscious of what we're thinking and how it's affecting how we organize. So generally speaking, we want to continue to think about our skeleton as our scaffolding, and that, for instance, seated over our sits bones is where we're going to find the most ease. So if you are able right now to find a seated position that is not kind of like slumped, because everyone sits on the couch like this. Like, I'm not expecting you to always be stacked on your sits bones, but understand that this kind of tucked pelvis, collapsed chest, this is communicating to the body that when at rest, we collapse. And this is not allowing our body to feel supported. Instead, we rely on the lack of feedback from the soft thing like our couch. If we were on something quite hard like this wouldn't last long, right? Our body would say, this isn't feeling that good. I have to reorganize. And those hard surfaces give us good feedback. The soft ones are a little tougher to feel. So I would like us now to go to get into a seated posture and just sort of notice the ease of being seated. Just have a moment. And this is an example of what I call creating a baseline, where we have a moment of stillness and recognition of where does it feel easy and supported? Where does it feel like my body was just intelligently designed to be here? And if we do this every once in a while, I tell people, don't think about which way your feet are pointing on every step of your miles and miles long walk, but think about it for the first minute. When you're sitting at your computer, you're thinking about it for a moment so that you can keep that awareness and notice when something starts to drift. We will become more aware of that drift if we are in touch with and spend time with our bodies in this process of creating a baseline. So while we're seated, we can do a baseline breath. We'll go through this on the quicker side. If you enjoy this breath, I can send you a more lengthy meditation. But as we're seated, easy stacked, we're breathing and just noticing the pathway of air in through the nose, into the sinuses, into the back of the throat, down into the lungs. Lungs expand 360. My hand is on my diaphragm or solar plexus. So the diaphragm goes all the way around, but we kind of have this like relationship to, okay, here's my diaphragm. So you're sitting, you're well stacked, and you're noticing your breath as you breathe. You feel like your mind's eye is following the pathway of the air and the air pressure in your body. Now, when you breathe, notice the back of the throat is very open, and notice what happens under your hand by your diaphragm when you have a nice open throat. If you contract the throat like the Ujjayi breath, you're going to have a more limited expansion in the diaphragm. If you really open the back of the throat, you're going to have a more dynamic movement of the diaphragm, a more free movement of the diaphragm. And as you breathe, you'll notice my body widens on the inhale. And naturally, the body lengthens, the spine lengthens a bit on the exhale because there's a little bit less curve in the spine. The inhale expands widthwise and increases the curvature of the spine slightly. And then the exhale, the domes rise, pelvic floor, diaphragm, you naturally grow a little taller. And this is not through efforting, it's through noticing. And this is a baseline. This is so that when I have my practice of just being with myself, which is something I always encourage everyone to do, have 10 minutes a day, at least, to just be with yourself. No goal, no fixing, no counting steps, no whatever. Just feeling yourself, moving, breathing, exploring, listening, creating a baseline in that time. What does it feel like to breathe when I'm not performing, when I'm not stressed, when I am just allowing my body to breathe itself? This is the baseline so that we can say, oh, I'm noticing that I'm contracting. And what is that telling me? Well, first, that I want to come back to my baseline, because that is a more clear center of cognition. When we are guarded and compressed and collapsed, we're not going to think in the same way as that when we are returned to our baseline. So this is not just gathering information, but it is also how to inhabit our body to then communicate that we're strong, that we're connected. So now I would like you to stand, and we'll explore that just a little bit. So if you can't stand, you can do what makes sense in the seated position. So we're going to stand and place our feet under our hips. Our hips are right here, our femurs, tibia and fibula, and then we're lining up with that second toe. And that's not because somebody told me that it was the right thing. It's not because it's a certain philosophy or belief. It is because that is how our skeleton is aligned and designed. So if you just had a skeleton hanging from the head, the legs are going to go straight down from the sockets. And therefore, that is the least amount of effort to be stacking over. So then we're going to talk a little bit about the curvature of our spine. So a lot of teachings have us believe that we need to kind of tuck the pelvis under. Neutral pelvis, I was taught, was pubic bone and hip bones being in the same plane. Now, what this requires is a pulling down of the tailbone, a shortening of the sits bones, and therefore a shortening of the pelvic floor. It also just is work. When we don't work, when we let the knees soften and we let the belly soften, and the integrity is just that of ground force and good breath, where does the body fall? Well, there's a little bit of an anterior tip in the pelvis if we're not trying to pull it down. And see what happens when you pull it down. What happens here? Chest collapses. Upper back starts to round, head starts to go forward, hips want to glide forward. This is guarding, and it's also then now compressing our breath. And I'm exaggerating a little, but this is so common. This is where I see a lot of women hanging out. Hips forward. And then when hips are forward, the spine reciprocates. So here is the curvature of my spine. And then if I lengthen out of that, where the booty feels soft and jiggly, oh yeah, feels nice and easy and soft, knees feel soft, you will notice that there is a curve restored in my lower back, that the upper back curve is less exaggerated, and that I have a curve in my neck. Now, this is the spring of our body, because we are naturally meant to absorb shock and recoil. That's why we love to jump. And if you jump with a tucked pelvis and a straight body, it's going to feel like bang, 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 right? So notice how much we rely on this curvature of our spine. And if we tried to tuck our pelvis under while we're doing it, how rigid and awkward it feels. Well, that's a little window into how it feels in the nervous system and in the tissue when we're standing in this way. So just getting your feet underneath you, toes pointing forward, and just bouncing like we did with Jacqueline, and getting in touch with the curves of the spine and how they allow you to absorb shock. And this is a really important idea, because when our body is in the physical position, the skeletal position, the tissue tone to absorb shock, the mind is in a better place to absorb shock. When we are rigid and bracing, we tend to break more. We tend to absorb shock more poorly. That's in the mind and the body. And so what I'm offering is just this idea of like, okay, I've got opinions, but what does your body say when I take you through this experiential process? Can you feel this ease? Can you feel this shock absorption? Can you feel this tendency that you may notice in your body? And how, if you are really now, am I trying to move from here? How it really starts to create traffic jams of communication in the body. So we're trying to free the body up. And this is now becoming a way that we can inhabit our body and return back to this place. We've gotten here and we noticed it, and then we're returning back to this place because this is a different center of cognition than this. We think and feel differently here, operate differently here than we do here. And you may not even notice. You may think, I don't do this. Girl, I bet you do. I bet you do, because I'm seeing it in myself. I'm seeing it in my clients. I'm seeing it in passersby. It's there, and we just don't know it. And this, I know that I'm supposed to sit like this. And that's not because somebody told me it was right or wrong and because I'm trying to be a good girl. It's because it feels more organized. I can feel the energy flow through my body better. But do I come to this position where I have this kink in my neck? Yes, I do. The thing is that this is an old pattern where my nervous system did not really understand how to access intrinsic deep support. And so I have this tendency, and then I say, oh, here, I'm doing that thing. And then I remind my body of support. And this is a relationship building process. This is not about correcting bad posture. This is about giving your body what it needs, right? Because sometimes when we correct posture, we go rigid again. And we shove the shoulder blades down and we get militaristic and we get too fixy. What we're looking for is that flow and that organization, which takes time and experimentation. But these are the things that will help us get into a place of cognition that feels more internally supported. The emotionality and the edges of our mental emotional experience feed into this vessel of ours. So this is the foundation. This is the week where you spend time just noticing, oh, this is what I wanted to share with you. That if you're at the counter and you're doing dishes and you're kind of like tired and you start doing this, just notice if your hips are doing this, and instead get your back chain involved, because your back chain, when you're starting to feel tired from a skeletal perspective, is the thing that is designed to help you be more athletic and supported. And so instead of this, we're going to try this. We're going to wash the dishes like this. We're going to hang out and wait for our friend like this instead of this. And just experimenting and noticing and seeing how your body slides into what used to be unconscious and now you are making it conscious. And then slowly starting to make these decisions that communicate that we're coming back into ourselves, that we're feeling that spiral of ground force. And that may not be the language that you would use, but you can feel this support, this softness in the tissue. There's no traffic jams. And when you feel a traffic jam, like, oh, I'm squeezing my knees right now, that feels like a traffic jam, but it happens unconsciously. I'm going to soften that up a little bit. I'm going to do my little therapeutic twerking. I'm going to wiggle my booty a little bit just to like palate cleanse, find my baseline, keep it moving, and just see if we can get more in touch and in relationship with the body through this awareness. Guys, we're going to get in touch with our bones. So I would love for you to take time to get comfortable and lay with your feet a little bit, legs a little bit apart, arms a little bit away from the body. And I would like you to take the next minute or two to adjust and adjust and adjust and adjust some more. And I don't mean like unnecessarily, but if you get there and you're like, oh, it could be a little bit more comfy. It's not about symmetry. It's not about, if I looked at you, I would deem that a good lying down position. What I want you to do is start to feel your bones in your body organizing in a way that feels very effortless. And of course, you have the feedback of the ground now across the whole backside of the body. So much support, so much feedback. And just notice the space between the legs and feet, and between the arms and the body. Start to imagine that you can see the imprint of your body on the floor. You can notice where it's making a mark or a stamp or an indentation. Bringing our awareness down to the heels and how they are resting on the floor. What part of the heel is touching the floor on either side. Noticing the slight idiosyncrasies or differences between the sides. No judgment. It's about getting in touch, right? And like, oh, that's different. At first I would say I'm symmetrical, and then upon further connection I can see that one leg is turned out a little more, and that is allowing my heel to rest slightly differently on one side than the other on the ground. So we're noticing the bones in the feet, and then the ankles. Noticing the two bones in our lower legs and how they seem to sort of wrap around one another. Shining your light of awareness to both knees, kneecaps. Think about where they are shining. If they were headlights, where are they shining? See if you can tune into that beam of light there, sending out into the room. Noticing that little lift on the back of the knees and away from the ground, and then the connection back through the thighs, the femurs. Let your mind's eye travel up the femurs to where they fit into the hip sockets, right in that groin hip crease area, like a ball in a mitt. And then the ASIS bones, or those pointy bones in the front of your hips. Letting your mind's eye travel to those bones and noticing the altitude of them, their relationship to one another, higher, lower, their relationship to your bottom floating ribs. Letting the mind's eye sort of wrap around the pelvis, that whole iliac crest or pelvic bowl towards the SI joint and the sacrum. So that's where the pelvis meets that big triangle bone in your lower back. And you're just feeling that. You can touch it, you can lie there perfectly still and just let your light of awareness shine there. Notice your sacrum. Notice the spine going up as though you could count each vertebrae, say hello on the way. Up to the back of the rib cage and just pause in the back of the ribs. Shoulder blades. Notice what is making contact. Is one side a little heavier than the other? You noticing the edges of your scapula, your shoulder blade on one side differently than the other? allowing your mind to sort of extend out that awareness to the whole rib cage, and just watch it breathe. Watch how the rib cage moves and expands 360 from your collarbone down to the very bottom rib. Watching the rib cage glide wider on the inhale, away from the center line, gliding towards the center line and the spine as you exhale. As you watch your rib cage breathe another breath or two, maybe notice places that are not as willing to move and shift with that air pressure. Inviting more movement into the places that feel a little bit quieter. Allowing the light of awareness to shine on the clavicle, your collarbone, your shoulder girdle. And noticing that the breath, without getting trapped up there, expands all the way up to the collarbone. And all the way down to the low bottom rib. Allowing the light of awareness to travel up the neck, the cervical spine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you are at the base of your skull, feeling your skull, your face, your jaw bones. So really, what this all is for is to become more intimate with self, with your body. And as we begin to know her more, we begin to love and revere her more and trust her information, trust her as an oracle, not as something that gets in the way of what we want, but something that is guiding us, a blueprint to what we really desire. She's always telling the truth. And in order to hear this truth, we are spending time reconnecting with the subtleties. So I will say goodbye for now, and I invite you to stay here with your breath, with your body, with your bones for another few moments after I say goodbye, and just see what clarity, what sensations, what noticings happen. And see if you are able to take that with you as you step off your mat.